You've probably never heard of this valley in China. I hadn't either. I wasn't even planning to come. But I stumbled into it, and what I found stopped me in my tracks. This is Tuyunguan, a quiet mountain pass on the edge of Guiyang in southwest China. There's a tiny wartime memorial here. No tourists, no crowds, not even most locals know about it. But I ended up staying for hours because it's so quiet. So quiet, like it feels like war never touched this place. But 80 years ago, millions of wounded soldiers came fighting for their lives. It wasn't a battlefield. There were no bombs, no gunfire, but the ground was soaked in effort, pain, and blood. This was a lifeline, the central hub of China's wartime medical network. From 1939 to 1945, the tiny mountain pass supported the largest, most organized, and most far-reaching one during the entire resistance against Japanese invasion. So if you were a wounded soldier or a child hit by flying shrapnel, your last hope might have been the nurses and doctors trained right here. But what shook me most was that this wasn't just a Chinese story, it was a global one. People from dozens of countries came together. Different languages, different skin colors, different religions, but side by side. They trained, carried stretchers, rushed into plague zones together. For example, ever heard of the International Brigade? Those were the ones who fought fascism in Spain. When Spain fell, some of their doctors came east to China, and 19 of them arrived here, all in their 30s, scarred from war. And they said, we couldn't save Spain, but maybe we can help save China. And they did. They turned their battlefield trauma into training materials and teaching Chinese doctors how to save lives under fire, how to keep someone alive long enough to see another day. Or the Indian medical team, 5 young doctors who showed up with 60 crates of medicine. When people asked why, they said, because this fight belongs to all of us. And there's also Dr. Guy Courtney, a British doctor who came in 1941, right when Japan began using biological weapons in China. Infected rats, poison gas, airborne plagues. She fought to contain the outbreak and lost her life doing so. Now her grave still stands quietly in these hills. And even those who couldn't come found ways to help. In San Francisco, people launched something called the Bowl of Rice Party. You'd go into some certain restaurants, eat a bowl of fried rice, and the profit went straight to China's relief effort. Half the city joined, and that money turned into bandages, X-ray machines, morphine, and arrived right here in Tuyunguan. But Tuyunguan wasn't just a place that received help, it sent it too. When the war spilled into Southeast Asia, it was Tuyunguan that sent out the medics, the rescue teams, and the trucks. And even an American military hospital, the 27th Field Hospital, was stationed here for a time after the Pacific War broke out. So yes, this valley no one talks about was quietly holding up a part of the world. We talk about peace so easily now, usually in abstract terms, like UN meeting, summit statements, ceasefire talks, but scroll through the news. One war escalates, another peace deal falls apart. Missiles here, ceasefires there, but how often do we ask, where did peace come from? And who paid for it? Well, today in Tuyunguan, I realized peace doesn't start with treaties. It starts with people showing up from across the globe, pulling stretchers through the mud and risking their lives in places you've never heard of. And the fact that I can be here today quietly and say, there's no war here, that means something. Tuyunguan will never trend, but it taught me something simple and true. Wars may be won by those who fire the last shot, but peace is built by those who stay behind and fight just as hard to keep someone else alive. And maybe that's what this war still wants us to understand.